Hello everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. So I would like to welcome everybody to this fireside chat with Dimitro and Martin. Dimitro is from Snowflake and Martin is from Adverti, and we're going to talk about going beyond the modern data stack, what it is and how it can help with a data-driven marketing strategy. So to start off with, I'd like you both to introduce yourselves and your companies and give us a brief overview of what a modern data stack is or how you perceive it.
Sure, so I'm Martin, I'm CTO at Adverti. So we build technology that makes it really easy to work with marketing data. And my background is in technology, so I've been in software for 25 years, Vienna-based. The company, we have headquarters in Vienna. We are located also in London and New York. And the modern data stack, I think, in my opinion, is something that evolved over the last 10 years. It's mainly an evolution of data stacks coming from on-premise into the cloud. And granted, there's an easier integration with stuff, but I think in the end it still has the same issues like we had 20, 25 years ago. So that's my take on the modernness of data stack.
Great. Hi everyone. My name is Dimitro. I work at Snowflake, and we provide the best-in-class data management platform, what we call the Snowflake Data Cloud. So to me, modern data stack is probably a set of well-integrated products, a set of products that allows organizations to work with all data at any scale, at any variety, and offer this good level of service to as many users as they need to. That becomes quite much more feasible with the rise of the cloud, bring in many capabilities that products and partners started to pull together. And yeah, I think that's
fabulous. I realised whilst they were introducing themselves, I didn't introduce myself. My name's Emma Cooper. I work for Innovate UK, KTN. We work with UK-based businesses to help them grow through innovation. So next of all, don't update now. I'd like to know why and how the modern data stack has arisen. So what are the benefits compared to what was previous best use case?
Sure, so I think historically when I look at the history of data integration and adding data to your application environment, it was an on-prem solution with limits. You had a database, maybe a data integration ETL tool, but at some point in time you need to scale this. And moving into the kind of modern world is basically a move into cloud. And things like Snowflake enable us to have massive volumes of data with solid performance. And this is something that is kind of the modern data stack today.
Yeah, from my side, I definitely agree with Martin that it came through leaps. The first wave being, okay, we now have a cloud software, cloud services, which now can run our existing solutions faster, so products that were available in the market by that time were starting to lift and shift their existing products and modernizing them in place a little bit. And whilst that was probably good enough for some time, there was a fantastic rise of the new, challenging, disruptive, sometimes open source solutions, which started to bring in components of the modern data stack which are designed to work in a cloud environment from the day one. So hence your new frameworks for data engineering, your new data cataloging, data governance products, AutoML, and many other products.
That's really good. And what would you say are the drawbacks? So based on your experience of the existing market, would you say that actually it's not that modern?
I'd say it still requires some learning curve, especially in quite conservative companies, and that's what we see quite often being a challenge. So You have, in the highly competitive markets, you have environments where your peers are pushing you to accelerate your migration to the cloud, and at the same time you need to modernize the way you did things in the past as well. So that being probably the challenge that we see from our side is the readiness to absorb so much change. And at the same time, from technical perspective, whilst it's not a rocket science, it still requires you to pay attention on the integration bits to make sure that whilst you are working probably with the best-in-class modern data tools, but they make sure that they play to each other's strengths and unique value propositions, so it still kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think the main drawback with this kind of modularization, which is good and bad at the same time, is you have to take care of all those components that compose the modern data stack. It's really historically like something like an ETL, ELT tool, and while the modern data stack enables things like ELT, which probably we haven't been able to do in the past, it's still like you have 4 or 5 tools to take care of and orchestrate those, and there's like many people owning this kind of data stack that poses a problem to the guarantees that you would expect from a consumer perspective.
So, in terms of those challenges, how can we move beyond? So how do we resolve those? How do we solve those challenges?
I think when you look at it, like I said, like from a consumer perspective, there's really the application taking data and expects data to be in a specific form, and there's specific criteria to the consumer side. Say, for example, you build a dashboard, you have specific requirements to the data coming in. At the moment, if someone at the downstream decides to say change the data coming through, drop a column on attribute on the way through, stuff breaks in between. And I think where we need to get to is really something where the platform takes care of all the pipelines, such that as little as possible can break in between. I think that's where we want to go. I'm a huge proponent of vertical integration, such they have like one tool that kind of addresses this need. I know that the marketing domain specifically is, there's lots of domain knowledge baked in. I think it's more difficult to do this kind of thing in a horizontal way. But I think we are at a good point where we can leverage what we built over the course of the last 8 years to fulfill this kind of vision.
I'd like to think about it usually as something similar to Maslow hierarchy of needs, where in order to overcome this like challenge that you previously were boiling in, you need to first like establish the solid foundation, and typically with the first steps in the transformation journey for the company, this means making the existing things to go faster, more reliable, more stable, more transparent. And then with the modern data components, you're introducing additional boosters for performance, again, better response to change, more headspace for your people to actually absorb and think what's around, what's not, what's sitting outside of the technology and change landscape. And then with all that, this gives you a runway to then think about the better way to collaborate as a company, because the world is constantly throwing at us new challenges, like from a marketing perspective, who would have thought that we're going to be living in a cookieless world? And that's just one piece of challenges that we see today. So at Snowflake, we believe in completely different ways that companies and industries could collaborate between each other. Hence, this is probably our journey, our way.
Well, that kind of naturally leads into the next question, which is how is Snowflake and Averti delivering against these challenges? How are your products solving these issues for marketers?
So we started our journey about 10 years ago, making a best-in-class data platform that is able to, on a technical level, consolidate all workloads, all data across different clouds without ever running the risk of running out of resources or struggling with busy neighbor problem on your workloads within the organization. We work with our partners to improve their products in the first place and making them more scalable whilst remaining familiar to the customers. Now we are working with our product team and partners' product team to introduce new services globally that previously were, again, not possible to deliver on the market due to limitation of things like old school data exchange via files or via APIs, as well as create much more resilient infrastructures that spans not just beyond multiple regions but beyond multiple clouds. So now with the Snowflake innovation curve, if you attend in our events, you hear a lot about vertical solutions that we are creating, about significant pushes towards our marketplace, which is no longer just data marketplace, but more leaning towards apps, connected solutions, connected products between the organizations, and through that drive the modernization in our society.
I think so. When we started 8 years ago, so a little bit less than that. But we started really with helping media agencies to get their workflows right. You know, we come from a place where people used spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations to communicate data. We created tools to make this easier, and along the way created a quite solid data platform where you don't have to take care of all the pieces in between. Really, making marketing data available is where we are good at, and we are at the point in time where we can add more value to that as well. This means by deeper integration we are able to surface findings in the marketing data onboarded that haven't previously been able to surface. So answering questions that you might not necessarily ask.
Hi, question to Snowflake, please. What's missing in your data technology stack right now?
I'd say it's probably a turnkey sticky glue solution that would be able to magically connect all the best-in-class pieces of the modern data stack, because we are good at what we are doing. We are delivering the best data platforms, whilst for the end user, for the change people, for developers, for final consumers, there is a variety of products they would love to choose to work with the data that managed at scale by our platform. What is missing is when you're starting to integrate all of those best-in-class products is the solutions that would immediately give you ultimate transparency regardless what combination of tools you use. So that's why, again, I'm highlighting there is a little bit of a challenge of integrating it all and still maintaining the good lineage, the good transparency and governance around all those tools.
In terms of the future for both your businesses, what are you developing? Any new products you want to hint at? Anything new and exciting that you can share with us?
So we are working on deeper integration for us. You know, like as I already explained, we come from a place where we enabled visualization data workflows. That's going to change a lot next year for us. So there's lots of things in the pipeline at the moment that we are quite excited, but just don't
Not quite ready.
announce just yet.
Okay. What are you hoping to get out of being at the show this week? Are you hoping to develop new relationships? What are you looking for today?
Absolutely. I think shows like this enable us to get in touch with a lot of people. We have a tremendous team here, so feel free to talk to our colleagues.
And how about Snowflake?
Yeah, it's very exciting to meet not only our partners but our customers here, as well as to connect to many people on this conference. It's really cool.
Amazing. We've got one question.
Hi, my question is, I want to understand like a use case. So if a new client goes to you, what would be the use case of your partnership or this independent solution? How would that work?
The use case usually is like you have a need for data, and you either would want to drive, say for example, a machine learning model or a visualization solution, Power BI, Google Data Studio, for that matter. So you want to create a dashboard, for example, but you need data somehow. So there's, specifically in the marketing domain, you know, we support 500 data sources, a little bit more than that. You need to get that data into a good shape. So you need to take care of a complete data set coming in that fulfills certain requirements. So data should be harmonized, and you shouldn't think too much about like how to align various sources. Say for example, aligning clicks and like impressions. Take care of your metrics specifically, like how you calculate specific metrics should like be a part. There should be a central place to manage that. So that's the typical case. And, either you come with your own kind of data warehouse solution, so we connect to all the major vendors with Snowflake natively baked in. But on top of that, you then create your own application.
I think in our case, the use cases are so different. It's very hard to cluster them, to be honest. But it's everything, starting from you struggling to deal with your existing infrastructure with the amount of data, variety, as well as the pace and the complexity that you may have in your technology stack, all the way to, of course, the greenfield products and the greenfield innovation solutions that you want to bring to the market and want to start on the right foot and deliver something that is kind of not the old school solution, not your grandma's data platform.
You spoke about future roadmaps being deeper integrations, but then you mentioned that you pretty much are integrated with every public cloud today. So when you talk about deeper integrations, is that away from data warehouse, data lake storage, and into other client applications and softwares that need to ingest marketing data? Like, I know you can't talk about it in detail, but what did you mean by deeper integrations?
People shouldn't need to take care of like how to set up a data warehouse, how to set up connections to third parties, how the data flows through, about all those harmonization rules going on, how data is aligned. So you should really be able to focus on your application. In the most simplest form, this is building a dashboard. More complex variants, you're building a complex marketing application on top of that. You're feeding machine learning models. You should really take care of this rather than building a pipeline and a data warehouse architecture underneath, such that you can do your business. So I think in terms of the deeper integration, it just is like covering more of the modern data stack from a single point of interaction and not needing to orchestrate all the components in between.
Hi, how do you connect, leading on from that gentleman's question about lots of different sources of data, sales, clickstream, consumer behavior, lifestyle type of questions. How do you connect to traditional sources that have keys and codes to things like clickstream, which are just lines of URLs? How do you have tools or mechanisms to do that?
Yeah, so we support a very broad portfolio of non-API sources. We can onboard anything from CSV to Parquet, SQL databases. Maybe in the Clickstream example, we support also connectivity towards Adobe Experience Platform. So we can consume all types of data through those generic connectors as well. So these can then be fed into our solution and be used in your reporting demands.
That's wonderful. Okay, I feel like that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming to listen to us today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.